Hello everyone and welcome to this week's webinar from the RNN Group. As you know, we do these monthly webinars and today we are hugely fortunate to be bringing you information on our South Yorkshire Institute of Technology, and I am delighted on behalf of the RNN Group to welcome Jill Cooper, who is the Executive Director of the South Yorkshire Institute of Technology. Now, a lot of people are not wholly aware of what the incredible work the Institute of Technologies do. So RNN Group thought that we would partner with Jill and bring this to you today over the lunchtime so you can sit back, enjoy, get some information about the Institute of Technologies while probably mostly eating your lunch, because I do know how it is. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jill, who's going to explain all about the wonderful Institute of Technology. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to do an overview about IoTs, what an Institute of Technology is. Some of you may have heard of IoTs before, but that might be in relation to the Internet of Things. But our IoT is in relation to the Institute of Technology. So some years ago now, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago, our previous government recognised that we needed a lot more people in the country qualified to level 4 and level 5. There's been a major push over the years towards people doing degrees, but not so much about people doing a level 4 or 5 qualification. So if, for example, you do a degree which is at level 6, in your first year you are studying at level 4, your second year you're studying at level 5, and then your final year you study at level 6 and complete the qualification. But there are qualifications at that level 4 and 5 that are independent, standalone qualifications. So, for example, a HNC, a Higher National Certificate or Diploma in Engineering. And there are a lot of sectors who actually will take that as a qualification that is really valuable for employment in their sector, either to recruit people into the industry or to allow progression for people already work in the sector. So the government recognised this and is having a major push on that level 4-5. Now you can do a level 4 or 5 qualification and then step up and progress to a level 6, a degree, in a lot of instances as well. So the government decided to really invest in that region, and so it has backed over the last sort of 5-6 years. It has put £290 million in investment into IoTs across the country. And so all of us bid into that funding, and we were lucky in South Yorkshire to be successful, and we've secured some £21 million investment into the region, and that investment is capital, so that's gone into buildings and equipment. So whichever sector you're in, you will know that, for example, technology is advancing quicker and quicker every year. So we need, as education providers, to ensure that we have got the right sort of equipment and resources for learners and our employers. So that investment's been really critical for our region to really ensure that what we offer you is current and relevant to your sector. And each of the IoTs has a specialism, and they tend to be advanced manufacturing and engineering, construction, digital technology, and healthcare. So as an IoT, there are 21 IoTs across the country. And we haven't heard any differently, but the previous government wasn't intending to have any additional IoTs. We don't know if there will be any with the new government. So as it stands, there are 21 across the country. And we also network as a group of IoTs across the country, and part of that is around collaboration, sharing best practice, sharing information, knowledge and skills, and that again is really useful for the IoT and each of our regions. And within those 21 IoTs, we have partnerships of colleges, universities, and employers. So each IoT has that structure, colleges, universities, and employers that are then driving that IoT to deliver the skills, knowledge, and experience that people need at level 4 and 5 primarily in the region. We do also have level 3 provision. So all of us have students coming through from school, for example, to college before they progress on to higher education. And we also have provision at level 6 degrees for students to progress on to, but most of our provision we focus on is that level 4-5. Also critical to us as an IoT are the employer partnerships. So IoTs have employers that sit on the board. So each IoT has a board of directors, and ours is made up of the CEOs of the colleges and a senior member of the universities, and also employers. And for us, our employers are HLM architects in construction, Pendo in digital technology, and AESCL in manufacturing. And those core employers are really important to us because they ensure that what we do as an educational partnership is focus on the qualifications, the education and training that meets their needs in our region. And so we work with them to look at what our offer is and what it should be as we move into the future to ensure that we keep abreast of developments across the sectors. Now, obviously, as any education provider will tell you, our colleges and universities work with, well, we work with about 5,000 employers overall. And so we're always using feedback from our employers to ensure that our offer is fit for purpose. And if you look at our providers, their offer, whether it's apprenticeships, qualifications, short courses, whatever it is, has been created to meet that demand either by learners or by employers. The other area that we focus on is underrepresented groups. So as an IoT, we're really trying to focus on encouraging those underrepresented groups to think about and engage in higher education. So for example, encouraging more women to think about engineering or construction as a career, or even digital technology. So we do have a strong focus on trying to encourage people that might not necessarily have thought about higher education before, or may not have thought of that sector before, to consider it either to progress into employment or to make a change or progress when they're in employment. So what's South Yorkshire Institute of Technology? So as I said, we're a partnership of those education providers and employers, and our focus is around core sectors. So our membership consists of DN Colleges Group, which is Doncaster College and the university campus in Doncaster, Sheffield Hallam University, Barnsley College and their higher education facilities, University of Sheffield AMRC Training Centre, RNN Group and their university campus in Rotherham, and the Sheffield College and their higher education campus as well. So that's what makes up the IoT. And we come together to actually collaborate on those areas of education where we can work together and add value to employers and to individuals. And our focus is across the technical areas. And as the earlier list, we do focus on engineering and manufacturing, construction, digital technologies, health, and also science and media and communications. So effectively, when you look at a program at one of our partners, so say you looked at R&N Group and you looked at one of the qualifications in engineering at level 4, so for example a HNC in engineering, you will see it's branded under the R&N Group, but it also will now be branded under the IoT, and it's a kite mark. It's telling you that that provision has been identified as high quality provision, and also that it meets the needs of employers in our region. So that's what an IoT is doing. It's ensuring that we have a kite mark that represents the provision that we offer across South Yorkshire. So for yourselves as employers, what does that mean to you in practice? So across the provision, as I said, it represents qualifications, apprenticeships. It also represents those kind of accredited or non-accredited short course. So an employer might come and say, can you deliver a 2-day course on X? So it might not be a qualification, but it sits under the area, for example, of construction, then it would sit under the umbrella of the IoT. It also includes HTQs, which if you've not seen that new acronym before, are higher technical qualifications. So for example, you might be used to a HNC in engineering, but now you would see a HNC engineering HTQ, and it's just the latest version of that qualification. And so for employers within the IoT, we will work with you as we work with employers generally, to be honest. So the kind of things that our partners will offer you, obviously you're always welcome to visit our sites and look at facilities and equipment that we have to offer. By working with the IoT, it potentially could give you access to a broader range of equipment. It might be, for example, R&N Group hasn't got a piece of equipment, but they know that Doncaster does, and that could be really useful for you in terms of access to learning. We also do sometimes promote employment opportunities. So for example, our students who are coming up to finish learning, you may have an opportunity that we could promote to them. We also work with you obviously on apprenticeships. We will help you with your levy. We will help you access any funding. We will help you recruit. So a big part of our education offer is around apprenticeship support. Another one you might not have heard of is projects. So as a business, you may have certain things that need doing that you actually don't have the facilities, the staff, the ability to actually deliver. Did you know that you could come to us as education providers and see if we could do that for you? And it's usually free of charge, always an extra bonus. But that could be a really great way for you to get something done that you can't do in the workplace, but it sets our students and our staff a really good live project, which could be really relevant to their studies. We actually do look to work with employers as well to, for example, allow visits, get our students out to see what employment looks like in your sector. We also would see if you can offer any work experience placements. We also would be really keen for employers to come in and work with us. Whether that's even just once a year, come in and talk to a group of students, talk to us about your business, talk to us about your sector. It's really important that we can engage our students with industry as much as possible. We also get employers to come in and support on the employability side. So maybe you could do a mock interview with some students, that kind of area. Also, to help promote your business locally, you can very often be a sponsor. So that might just be putting a plaque up in our facilities or putting posters up, whatever that looks like in relation to that education provider, and to show that you are a local employer with us. And also we might see if you want to attend our careers fairs or deliver careers talks as well. So there are lots of opportunities as well as engaging with us for training. And one of the most important areas that we do engage with employers on in training is to engage with us on our curriculum, our programs. Are we offering the right programs? Do you want to be involved, or could you be involved in influencing what the topics are that we offer, and so on and so forth? So there are lots of either very small or very large commitments that you can make to working with education. And that's an area that government really does expect education and employers to work closely together, because we need your support to make sure that what we offer is really relevant to our learners. So what's the difference? Why would our education providers join the IoT? The IoT, as I said, is led by a board from the partners. And originally partners did have some investment in facilities and equipment. But as an IoT, the education providers see a lot broader initiatives that we can use to help all of us across the county, and that includes our employers. We've got the potential to apply for additional funding streams, which will help. We've got abilities as colleges to work with the universities on research, which will help ensure that our staff stay up to date and current. And some of that could be engaging our employers as well. Where we have staff shortages, and we are just like any other sector, we have staff shortages. It could be that as an IoT, we might be able to identify that we could actually collaborate and recruit to the IoT, for example, and help address those shortages, which impact then on the offer that we have available. And we will use the IoT providers to upskill each other as well and share knowledge, skills, specialisms. And we're also working together on the development and delivery of curriculum. So one of the things we will be doing, we'll be delivering, for example, a subject on one site, but other sites would be able to access it. So again, that will be helping share the expertise across the region as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we can share the equipment and resources across the IoT. So for our providers and for our employers, that collaboration has some real potential benefits to deliver as well. So that gives you an overview. I hope that makes it clear as to what the IoT is. It's that partnership and collaboration in particular of the education providers across this region, the colleges and the universities. And it's about really encouraging individuals, whether that's going from college or out in industry looking to progress, or maybe people that are not in employment as well, to think about maybe level 4 or 5 being that next step for them in terms of education, to help them get into work or to help them progress in the workplace. If you want to find out more, we have a national website which covers all of the IoTs. And then we also have our own website, and on there's a full list of the current provision that sits under the umbrella of the IoT as well. And obviously you can contact any of us through the partnership, and hopefully by contacting one of us you will have access to the others as well where appropriate. So are there any questions, Lucy? I don't know if there are any at the moment.
Thanks, Jill. I think it's really interesting the points you made about HNDs, HNCs, and HTQs. I think for a lot of employers, but the focus has really sort of been on degrees, I suppose, for much of the time. And we were talking about this, obviously, weren't we, just before we came on air. So it'd be
Yes.
interesting I mean, for everyone who's out there listening to this, we do have a higher technical qualification webinar actually coming up on the 15th of October at 6:30 in the evening. And we've done that for people who, not just for employers who are wanting to know more, but for individuals who are thinking about it, but who are maybe working throughout the day. And it's interesting the South Yorkshire Institute of Technology is sort of like recognizing these HTQs going forward. Is that something that's a real focus, do you think, and will be more and more of a focus going forward for the government, do you think, or generally for skills going forward, that to have these more technical skills-based qualifications? And that's something that I know that the Institute of Technology are very much behind, aren't they?
Yeah, I hope so. Because the answer for everybody is not a degree.
No,
And for some people, that level 4 and 5 could be just as important and relevant and help secure them a really good job. And it doesn't matter what age you are either. You don't have
exactly.
to think about continuing your education just when you're a school or college leaver. When you actually look at higher education, um, I think across South Yorkshire, I can't remember the percentage now, it's gone, but there is a very high majority of people, for example, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. I think it's something like, I'm going to be off the top of my head and say 45%. It's probably not accurate, but it's not sort of like 5%. It's not a tiny number. A
Mm.
lot of adults look at higher education, and a degree can seem too big, too much of a challenge. And also, you have to think if you are already working, if you have a family, there are all sorts of circumstances that impact on an individual progressing in education. So actually, by doing a level 4 qualification first, for example, or a level 5, that might be enough for some people at that point in their life. And as I said, there's nothing to stop them doing a HNC and in 2, 3 years doing a HND or going on to a degree. So I think it's about the right level of qualification for you in your current circumstances. And also the way funding is changing, there is also the opportunity for you to do units, for example, of a HTQ, of a HNC, HND. So again, you might find that you're out in employment and actually you can't commit to doing a full-time or a part-time course for a whole year. But maybe when you look at the content of that program, you might say, actually, there are a couple of units there that would really help me either get into work or to progress. And so it is much more flexible now in that you would be able to get, for example, a student loan or equivalent to actually do that rather than just looking at a degree. So you can get access to funding for yourself as an individual to do a level 4 or a level 5, and with new qualifications just for units as well. So that again should make it much more easier for people. And hopefully the new government is on the same track and, will ensure that level 4 and 5 and 6 are important moving forwards.
I think that's really useful for employers because if they're looking at specific units or areas for their employees to be upskilled in, this is the future in that sense, rather than doing something larger and longer. As you rightly say, we don't know what's going to happen in 3 years, let alone next year, in some of our
Absolutely.
lives. So to be able to have these opportunities and options to make it more short, more modular, I think is really going to help individuals to upskill themselves, for employers to support their employees with these HTQs, HNCs, HNDs to allow their
Definitely.
workforce to be skilled up. And it's fantastic to have this kite mark from the Institute of Technology and our own South Yorkshire Institute of Technology to recognise
Absolutely.
these important courses that the various institutions are offering. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Yes.
I haven't got any other questions, Jill. As always, you're always very, very clear, and the information you give is so specific and really helpful that I think that all of our participants don't have anything to ask actually. So it's a huge thank you. Before we go, we do offer these webinars generally monthly, either at lunchtime or in early evening. And as I mentioned, our next one goes nicely dovetails with this one. It's on higher national qualifications. That's going to be on Tuesday, the 15th of October at 6:30 p.m. So HTQs, higher technical qualifications, sorry. And then after that, we have on Tuesday, the 12th of November, a lunchtime webinar on distance learning. Obviously, for a lot of people nowadays, they prefer to learn from the comfort of their own home. Obviously, it's a real help in terms of reducing costs, especially in this day and age. So if you want to know what the RNN Group is offering in terms of distance learning opportunities, tune in on the 12th of November. So as a recap, that's higher technical qualifications on the 15th of October and distance learning on the 12th of November. Just to say a huge thanks, Jill, for giving up your time to explain this fantastic kite-mark and all that's available with it to our listeners and watchers today. Huge thanks, and it remains for me to thank you very much for watching this. And those of you who watch this back, thank you also for engaging with us over social media to watch this. We really appreciate it. And have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you very much then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.